So what we're now doing is we've established with the car companies that we're dealing with and those future contracts that will be landing, that actually for safety they want to send the full battery pack to us as a one-stop shop. And they're going to be sending them with around 30, in most cases, sorry, sending them with around 30% charge.
Hello, you're watching Proactive. I'm joined by Technology Minerals Chairman Robin Brundle. Robin, good to speak with you again. Technology Minerals has provided an update for its 48% owned battery recycling solutions business. How are things going?
Yes, nice to be back with you. Yes, I have to say, probably frustration and delight in equal measure. I think really on the delight side, there is quite a lot of good news since we last have spoken. One of those elements is that we've won a Clean Future Accelerator grant of £50,000 from the government to accelerate what we're doing in with certain chemistries of batteries, which is a great award to win. I think from the plant side of things, July has seen the highest throughput, which for us was 51 tons in July. We've seen that the plant has been running every day, which is great. So we had 81% availability of plant, and the other part of that downtime was planned slight changes and tweaks to the plant. So we've got a very robust plant and just needs more feedstock, of course. The majority of what we're doing in that 51 tons in July is handheld and small batteries from e-bikes and power tools and mobile phones, that type of thing. And the performance was ahead of our revised 2024 budget, so that's reassuring as well on a volume throughput, which is great. And things like our gate fees are holding up and are also still ahead of plan. When it comes to the black mass, we've got our now 50 tons of black mass ready to go to fulfill our Indian contract with Lohum. And as we know, we're just waiting for the paperwork for that to be able to go. Libox, our transportation boxes, we've got 50 boxes manufactured, all of which are deployed to clients, which is great. And we're just awaiting, to get some more cash generation to be able to build more boxes for the rental side of the Libox business. And we got an order for 7 Liboxes. Those boxes are finished as of today and are being shipped to the client. And we'll make more news about that as they land with the client over the next week to 10 days or so. And pleasingly, the repeat customers are coming through every month now. So thankfully, we are starting to see increased forecasts for the next 3 to 4 months of feedstock from regular sources, which is great. So on the frustration side, clearly feedstock continues to frustrate us. We have mentioned before that we had hoped that the people that are sitting on this lithium-ion battery materials will have released them. But again, they're still sitting on that material. So they are suggesting that Q1 will be when they release the volumes of their feedstock when the new compliance regulations come in. The other frustration, of course, which people are talking about, and understandably to all of us, is the delay in the RTO, and that's not helpful. So that's probably subject of a different discussion. But we are at the inflection point. We now have 2 automotive contracts where we're starting to get higher weights and higher volumes, and those volumes start to come in the next 2 weeks with some ongoing contracts. We've got more automotive contracts that are in advanced state, and certainly in the next 3 months, we expect at least 2 more of those automotive contracts to land. We've also won a contract now, which again, we've got boxes out ready to collect, where there's around 5,000 batteries sitting. So that's literally just waiting for material to come in. We're working with specialist environmental contractors, even taking domestic energy storage systems that have needed to be end of life, for example. And we're now starting to finally see some volume increases and inquiry increases through our partnership with Slicker. So more inquiries on live boxes, more inquiries coming through from for recycling. And as we said, we really do think it's at the inflection point now. Finally, it is late. Some of these batteries that we're now winning, we quoted on as far back as 14 months ago, but they're now starting to come through. So frustration and delight, as I say.
Robin, you mentioned working with various industry leaders across the recycling process. How have things changed since we last spoke?
Yeah, well, I think it kind of comes back again to this gestation period. And what we're finding now is that the automotive space, which is where we've said we will get our heaviest volumes from, because cars, full EV cars, are around 500 to 600 kg as an average of battery pack, and some much higher than that. And so for us, I think the automotive space are now worked out their processes, their systems, and they've worked out who they want to deal with in this space as well. Because as you know, there are others out there that are making a very fine narrative, but have yet to have a facility to be able to process. So we've still got this early to market opportunity, and thankfully, we're stripping away that greenwash and this future tense narrative that others appear to be using. And we're slowly starting to get these contracts now landing, which is, a big, big moment for us.
You highlighted the new discharge and dismantle units at the Wolverhampton plant. What does this mean for recyclers, Robin?
It's an important step for us. I think I mentioned about 18 months ago, we bought some equipment to do discharge and look to do second life. The second life market is very time limited, and so we've decided to switch from that process, and complicated because you ultimately end up becoming a battery producer with the various responsibilities if you go down that second life route. So what we're now doing is we've established with the car companies that we're dealing with, and those future contracts that will be landing, that actually for safety they want to send the full battery pack to us as a one-stop shop, and they're going to be sending them with around 30, in most cases, sending them with around 30% charge, and we need to get rid of that charge initially from the battery pack. And then a little bit down the road, we want to store that energy and reuse it on our site. So stage one is to tick the box for the automotive contracts to be the one-stop shop. We've had this capability now for about 2 months, and we have already dismantled our first automotive full packs. And we have additional requests for quotes from automotive companies to even offer that just as a simple service for them, to do the dismantle and discharge. So for us, it's an important part. We didn't see 18 months, 2 years ago that it was going to be that important. And that's just one example of how we're moving in such a fast environment. But again, how we're agile enough to be able to react to it. So yes, it's important for us.
Tell us what this means for recyclers going forward, Robin.
For us, we see over the next 3 to 4 months what we had hoped to see earlier this year, and we believed that we had sight of these sorts of contracts as we turned into the start of the year. It's been frustrating that they've been so slow coming to fruition. Dealing with large corporations, often international corporations that are not only looking for a UK solution but a European solution, which has added further delay to their decision-making processes. But ultimately, is also giving us the opportunity to look at a pan-European with 2 of these car companies, which would be receiving batteries from around 31 states in Europe. So it's been worth the pain of waiting, and to our investors and shareholders, thank you again for super tolerance in the time that it's taken for these contracts to start to land. But as we start to see some of these batteries coming in the next 2 weeks, we do really feel that we've hit this inflection point, albeit several months later than we originally expected.
Well, Robin, I hope you'll keep us updated on any further progress. Thank you very much for speaking with us today.
Thank you very much.
That's Technology Minerals Chairman Robin Brundle.